Hi everyone, I'm Someday Sassy, and if it's your first time here, welcome. If you are returning, I am sorry. I know it's been a long time and that my hair is short and blue for some reason, but I'm here. I'm holding a homemade pop filter in case you're curious, and it's for your benefit. You don't want me to be talking about Peter Piper and, blow your ears out. Sorry. All right, well, I just graduated from college. I know, thank you for your applause. But, I was reminiscing. And I was remembering how, before starting, I was the kind of kid who looked up just about every blog post on the internet that said something along the lines of 15 tips for freshmen starting out in the fall. And they all said stuff along the lines of, get used to the library because you're gonna have a lot of all-nighters, and go to office hours and make friends, which, yes, sure, fine. But there's so much good advice that nobody bothers to tell you that would have been so helpful to me. So, I am passing my knowledge on to you. So, appreciate it. Alright, well, first one is email. You are going to be sending a lot of emails, so get them down pat, quick as you can. Find that sweet spot between formal and informal. You're going to be emailing a lot. You're going to be emailing your professors mostly, but also the registrar, other students, all kinds of stuff. So you really want to be able to email well. Side note, my advice would be different professors like being called different things. I'd have a professor who was like, hey, call me John. And I was like, ugh. And other professors who would be like, if you call me anything other than Dr. Smith, I will consider it a personal insult to my being. And it's like, ugh. So, the safest bet, if you're addressing a professor, just go with professor and their last name. It's the safest bet until they explicitly tell you otherwise. But, you'll have a lot of professors and it'll eventually get easy to mix them up. So that would be my first tip. It'll save you a lot of grief. Next, explore. Explore your campus, Before classes start, find where your classrooms are. There is nothing more stressful than being on your first day and wandering around a building and not knowing where your classroom is and thinking that you're going to be late, and then upperclassmen just looking at you like, oh no, that poor baby freshman. Don't do it. Avoid that pain and just explore beforehand, not only to find where your classes are, but also to find, good study spots, your favorite spot at the cafeteria. These are things that, you'll accumulate as, the weeks and months and years go on. But, I don't know, it's that sort of, limitless exploring that led me to find all of my favorite study spots. And it's always nice to have an alternate study spot because very likely that your first choice will be taken at some point. So you always want to have a second and third choice when it comes to studying, because you have to study anyway, even if your favorite chair is taken. Consider, but don't bet on upperclassmen recommendations. So a lot of people will tell you to just ask upperclassmen, especially those who are in your same sort of major or area of study, what they think about the professors, about the classes, etc., etc. Now, this isn't bad advice. You should still do it. But don't stake your life on that advice. If one person tells you something, hear them out, but draw your own conclusions. If a lot of people have a certain consensus, like, I don't know, Professor X, seems to really be harder on the girls and praise the boys a whole lot, so I don't know if you would enjoy being in his class. It's okay to, maybe veer away. But if an upperclassman tells you, don't take this class, it's the worst, and you really wanted to take that class, I mean, you can still risk it. That doesn't mean that you can't take it anymore. At least 50% of the times where I followed my gut instinct instead of somebody's advice, it panned out for me. So, always ask for advice, but don't take it as law, essentially. Next, class is much more interesting if you do the readings, but a little skimming never kills anyone. You probably don't want to skip the readings entirely. I mean, believe it or not, you're actually there to learn. Wow. But also, you will get very busy very fast, and that is okay. Most of the time, you don't have time to sit down and read, a 40-page thesis that puts you to sleep after the first paragraph. It's so understandable. But learn to skim. That means read all the titles, read all the subtitles, read the first, introductory paragraph, and read the conclusion. Read those in their entirety, and you'll probably have a good idea of what it is you're talking about. Now, if you do have time to sit down and read through the whole thing, I totally recommend that you do it. You probably will have to eventually, especially if it's like a literature class, because you're probably going to have to write about it. But if you're pressed for time, just learn how to skim well, and you'll be okay, I promise. Next. Roommates. Discuss your comfort levels early. Now, this may feel awkward, and that is fair, but most of the problems between roommates that I encountered was most of them were because they just did not discuss their comfort levels beforehand. And then, they clashed, and arguments ensued, and wars, and all the drama. It makes the best gossip, but it's not fun to be in the center of, trust me. So, you're gonna sit down with your roommate, and you're gonna discuss cleanliness, Are they the type that needs to have everything super clean, or are they more of the chaotic type, And what type are you? And to what point would it make you uncomfortable either way? Next, noise, light, and bedtimes. Those kind of wrap up into one. What conditions does your roommate need to sleep, and what times do they usually sleep? You really don't want to have all the lights on at 1 a.m. because you're studying and your roommate can't sleep, The resentment builds. It's not good. It's not good for the soul, for the heart, So discuss it. Find alternatives. There's a small desk lamp. Is that a good enough compromise for the two of you? Headphones, that kind of thing. And finally, and most importantly, in my opinion, people. Some people like having a bunch of friends over in your room. They like entertaining. Although if you have rooms big enough in your freshman year to entertain people, then I'm so jealous. My room was so tiny. Other people really do like to have their space be their own space. They don't like having a bunch of people, in their space. And that's totally fine. Both are completely valid. Just communicate that very, very early so that you can avoid unpleasant surprises, So just communicate. Also, under the branch of people, if you're gonna have your significant other over, definitely clear it with your roommate beforehand, because that is where most of the drama comes in. Just let them know before it happens, let them know when, and if they're not cool with that, negotiate. Find a way around it where everyone can be happy and comfortable, You really don't want to make someone uncomfortable, it's not fun. It's not fun. Okay, anyhow, next. Right, learn your professor's style. And I think that that'll be evident pretty quickly, if not in the first class, then in the second and the third. There are professors who have lecture styles where it's basically just sit down, shut up, and listen to me talk. That's fine. Discussion styles where it's like, here's a thing. Everybody raise your hand and talk about it. There's a lot of standing and doing. Well, I took a lot of theater classes, so it was a lot of standing and doing and moving and that kind of thing. Are they really wild and easy breezy with the rules? Or are they super, super, super strict, right? You want to learn what their style is, because you will learn very quickly what your preferred style is. I know people who just freaking hate discussion classes. They hate them with a burning passion. And other people who would just fall asleep if it's just a lecture and they have nothing to do during the class. Different people learn different ways. So identify your professor's style and make sure that it's compatible with you. I mean, you'll probably have to take classes, outside of your comfort zone. That's fine. It's a learning experience, but if you can orient things in your favor, that's always nice. Speaking of discussion, a lot of people hate it. And especially freshmen are going to be very scared of, raising your hands and saying something. I was there. It's scary. And you know what? 2 years in, and there are some days where I would still feel like a freshman and would not want to raise my hand. That is understandable. However, unfortunately, some classes still do take into account participation. So this is a tip, particularly for the people who are very reluctant to raise their hands. If you are a person who likes raising your hand a bunch and talking a bunch in class, then amazing. If anything, avoid these things so that the introverts can do it. So, you're nervous, you don't want to talk, but you don't want to get a low participation grade, right? So what you're gonna do is, 1, you're gonna listen for an easy question, right? If you ever hear an easy question, something that you know the answer to, bite back the nerves, raise your hand and answer it, right? Just be the first to get there. And next, and this is my most valuable piece of advice, ask questions. You can rarely go wrong with questions. If, you don't want to go in and, make an opinion if you're afraid that your opinion isn't going to be as smart as the other opinions, which, by the way, you'll be fine. Raise your question and ask it, to the class and the professor. Hey, at this point, I wasn't sure what Emily Dickinson meant. Does anybody have any ideas? This is you speaking in class, right? Super low risk. No stakes. You will be fine. I promise. Oh my gosh, have a contact in every single one of your classes. Be it the person who sits next to you, the one who looks kind of friendly. You want to have someone in your class that you can text if you're gonna miss class, if you're not sure about the homework, if something is confusing on the class sort of files and that kind of thing. You always want to have someone from your class. So first day, just whoever you're sitting next to that you awkwardly introduced yourself to, is like, hey, do you want to exchange numbers so that, we can ask each other about homework and stuff? I did it for every single one of my classes. It panned out. It was great. It is a literal lifesaver, so please do that. Okay. This is a controversial one, but hear me out. Sleep over studying. I did the all-nighter thing. For my first year of college, I think I averaged between 3 and 5 hours of sleep a night. And I am a napper, you guys. Sleep is my lifeblood. And, I was like, this is what I gotta do. I gotta do the all-nighters. I gotta do the days and days inside of the library. That's what I was told, and so that's what I'm gonna do. It sucks. It's a sham. It's a lie. They're lying to you. You don't have to do it. Save yourselves, please. Okay, how do I say this? You are going to be so much more productive, and so much happier, and calmer, and less panicked, and anxious, and healthier, and everything, if you just sleep. I made it a rule from my second year forward that every single night I would get 8 hours of sleep, and I stuck to it. I still do to this day, and you have no idea what difference it made. If you're late on an assignment, and you're like, the only way I'm gonna get this done is to do an all-nighter. Measure if it's worth it, or find a happy middle, and hear me out, you guys, this is a scary one. Be honest with your professors. Gasp. More than once, I emailed a professor and I was like, hey, I haven't slept properly for I don't know how many days. I am super overwhelmed and dying. Can you give me an extra day to hand in the assignment? 9 times out of 10, they said yes. yeah, no, like almost unanimously, my professors would be like, oh my gosh, thank you for communicating with me. Nobody communicates with us. Thank you for communicating with me. And they would give me all the time I needed to finish the assignment. Like, tell your professors what's going on. It's like, oh my god, I'm so overwhelmed. Or, this is really, really difficult for me and it's taking me a long time to do it, but I swear to god I'm working on it. If I keep sacrificing my sleep, I'm literally going to go insane and start throwing things at the wall. Yeah, sometimes I would be a little colorful in my emails, but it worked, okay? It worked. So yes, take care of yourselves. Speaking of, make sure that you have time in your schedule for food. Do not put freaking 5 classes back to back and no time for freaking breakfast, lunch, or dinner. I also did that. I went days eating very, very little or surviving off of, like, you know, freaking microwave oatmeal for like 3 days. It's not good. Oh my god, it's not good. Don't do it. You can be healthy and do college at the same time. I promise. The belief that you can't, it's a lie. I promise. Take a random class that has nothing to do with your major. I know, it's terrifying. You don't have to do it in your first semester. That's okay. My first semester, I took a theater class. Why? Because I felt like it. Because I was going to be studying literature and writing and all that kind of stuff, and which meant a lot of reading, a lot of sitting, a lot of typing, and I wanted something that would get me on my feet. And I was like, I'm not good enough to, like, actually be a theater, like, major or anything like that. But one elective class in theater, a beginner's class, of course I can. And that is the story how theater became half of my life at college. You know, I loved it so much. I loved the department, the people, everyone, that I ended up just doing a lot of it. So much of it. It became like a huge passion of mine, and it is really, like, it's shaped, you know, my everything, you know? So, I also took botany. I'm not a botanist, nor do I plan on being a botanist, but heck, I can tell you stuff about plants now. And it's fun, you know? It's fun to just step out of your comfort zone, be very honest, you know? I'd tell the professors, like, hey, this is like a advanced level environmental science class. I'm a freshman studying creative writing. I have no idea what I'm doing here. And this was one of the more chill professors, because he was like, amazing, I'm in. And I had a great time, you know? It wasn't easy, but it was fun, and I learned something completely new and random, and I can, oh my god, I can tell you so much about plants now, so there you go. It's an experience, so do it. It's fun. Have fun. Ask for help. Oh my god, ask for help. You can do that, okay? And if the first person you ask doesn't give you what you need, ask someone else. Just ask for help. You will probably struggle throughout college. Let's be honest, you're a human being. It's only natural. But that doesn't mean that you have to curl up and die inside, you know? Oh my god, so many college students just do that. They're completely overwhelmed and they make a joke about it, you know? They're like, I haven't slept for a week and I'm taking 25 credits. And it's like, that's not something to brag about. Oh my god, go take a nap, eat a freaking granola bar. Oh my gosh, get some hot cocoa. Whoever it is that you ask for help, be it like, oh, I don't understand this, you know? Ask the professor or a classmate, you know? I'm super stressed, my mental health, right? Your college will very likely have sort of counseling services and that kind of thing available to students. If they don't, reach out to a kind-looking professor, reach out to an upperclassman, your advisor, you know, you'll usually get assigned an advisor of some sort, and there's always, like, student leaders and that kind of thing who are literally specifically trained on what to do if a student is like, hey, I'm feeling overwhelmed, so we're expecting this, so go for it, do it, please. I already talked about attendance and participation, I believe. I can't even remember anymore. I did more than one version of this video because I accidentally named names, and then I was like, wow, I should really not be calling out, like, specific people, so I had to go back and record it so that it was John Smith and not, you know, anyone else. Right, so attendance. Try not to miss class, as a rule, you know? I've had classes where, oh my god, it's actually really funny. I mean, you see some funny stuff in college, but this really took the cake, where you'd see someone appear on the first day of class and on the day of the final, and you were like, wow, this person never came. That is impressive. And for classes where attendance isn't mandatory, that's actually pretty common. There are classes that attendance is mandatory. In fact, most of the ones that I took were like that. And, you know, you don't want to get to the point where it's like a thing where, oh, I'm gonna have to lower your grade because you didn't come to class. Like, go to class. You will learn. That's kind of the point. Again, just go, listen, and learn. However, if you have to miss a class or two, the world will not end. You will not die. Zeus will not smite you with lightning. You'll be okay. And I remember the first class that I skipped, I was very, very stressed. And my roommate says, hey, you know, let's go over to the village, which is what we would call, you know, the, like, little restaurant hub, and get lunch. And I was like, I can't. I have class, and I'm dying. And it came to a point where I was like, I could just eat lunch instead of torturing myself. And I did, and it was beautiful. I didn't skip many classes, but those that I did really, really benefited me. So literally just weigh it out and think, am I going to be better off taking this time to regroup or going to class? Just measure it and make the call. Trust yourself to make that call. Okay, so this is something that I can guarantee you are going to feel. You are going to feel like everybody else is doing 10 times as many things as you are. And this is a guarantee, because everybody likes talking about all of the things that they're doing and how busy they are. You're okay. You are also doing a lot of things, I promise. You know? It may feel like, oh, your friend is in 5 clubs and 3 plays. And it's like, oh no, I'm only in 1 club, or I'm not in any clubs at all, right? Dude, you're still doing a lot of stuff, okay? None of that imposter syndrome in here. We don't accept it, okay? You're writing a lot. I mean, okay, here I am freaking thinking of my own major, right? But you are doing what you have to do to, you know, progress in your career, right? And that is a lot of work. People who overboard themselves are not better than you. I promise, okay? If anything, they need a nap. And if you are taking care of yourself, that is so valuable and so smart, and you're not going to burn out as quickly, okay? Oh, okay, so this is on the same vein. Try to have fun with it. You know, it is very easy to get wrapped up in the, oh, I have so much stuff to do, I have to get this done, I have to do this, and this, and that, and this, and I have found that I have learned most in classes where I just drop all thoughts of my grades and just have fun with it. You know, I would get to a point where I was so stressed that I would just sort of elevate into a plane of I don't give a damn, you know? And when I got into that plane, I'd say, I'm gonna have fun with this. So I would read, so in my literature class, I'd read a book, and then we had to write an essay about it. And my entire essay would be something along the lines of, this author is so full of themselves, you know, in prettier words, because, yeah. But they're super full of themselves. They are trying to be fancy, and they're spending freaking 5 chapters saying what they could say in 2 pages. And this was cool, a thing that they did. It would have been cooler if they had done this. And this is why I interpreted here. I read through it, but I wanted to fall asleep. That kind of stuff. And lucky for me, my literature professor found it hilarious and gave me a great grade. Other times, professors were not as amused, but, you know, it's okay. Have fun, you know? Don't be afraid to focus on what actually interests you. That being said, sometimes just get it done. When you go beyond stress and into the realm of I don't give a damn, there is in fact a realm beyond, which is just nothingness. It is just absolute exhaustion. And at that point, you guys, just get it done. It doesn't have to be good. That is something that you don't realize. I didn't realize it until like my 3rd year of college. When you hand something in, it doesn't have to be good. Wow. Obviously, if you have the time, if you have the will in your heart, then go for it. Have fun with it. Be wild. If you don't, just write something down and press send. You'll be okay. A lot of times, you will spend 3 times the time trying to make something actually look good when you're just exhausted. It is okay for an assignment if you're just like, you know what? I'm just gonna write something. I'm not even gonna proofread it because I'm tired. I'm gonna press send, feel better about myself, and I'm gonna go to sleep. That is okay. That is valid, okay? Do it. Do it every now and then, give yourself a break. I feel strongly about this one. Don't diss or let people diss specific majors. There is a lot of this, especially in my college where there was a very wide variety of different majors and career paths and that kind of thing. Oh my god, there was always a war going on. It's like, those STEM students think they're so great. And then the STEM students would be like the biology students would be like, ooh, those pre-med students think they're so great. And then the pre-med students would be like, those humanities students must have it so easy. And the humanities students would be like, oh my gosh, I bet none of them can even write an essay. It's like, stop it, don't do it. Everyone is having a rough time, I promise you. And, don't judge people for going into business school. A lot of people call them snakes and that kind of thing. Dude, that's their life choice. Leave them alone. Jeez. Right? And same thing, if you're in a more, sort of numbers-oriented kind of thing, don't judge people for going into more creative pursuits. They're doing it. Don't be like, oh my god. I once had a guy. We were walking down. He was studying political science. And we were walking back from a meeting that we had. And he asked me, you're going to have to answer what your major is about 50,000 times throughout your college career. So be ready for that. So he asked me, what's your major? And I was like, creative writing. And he's like, that must be nice. I was like, whatever you do, you mean. He's like, well, I'm studying poli-sci. I was like, ooh, poli-sci. And I was very salty, I'll admit. But just don't do it. Don't diss it. And if somebody disses your major, don't stand for it. Just be like, oh, hell no. My thing's really hard too. Don't get it. Drop the attitude. Stand up for yourself. Do it. So yes, that was a very long-winded thing. Anyhow, my final advice, because this is already going on so long, my final advice is that it is gonna be jarring. For a lot of reasons. So just prepare yourself for that. Just know that it's gonna come, and that you'll be okay. But you're gonna meet a lot of people who are very different to you. That is a good thing, right? You want to be exposed to different perspectives, different everything, right? It is going to make you a better and more well-rounded person. That is a good thing. However, you won't necessarily like everyone that you meet. They won't necessarily like you. But you will always be able to learn something from them. So just be prepared for that. Be prepared for things to be different. If you're an international student, i.e. you're going from one country to study in a different country, obviously it's going to be even more jarring, but I mean, just refer back to the ask for help, you know? It'll be worth it. And on that note, you can ask me. Hi, I am very experienced. I was actually a guide for incoming first-year students, and that includes international students. In fact, I worked mostly with the international students. I've talked to parents, I've talked to prospective students, current students, students who are my seniors, professors, literally every kind of question. I assure you I've probably already heard it. These are the ones that, you know, I feel like nobody ever told me and I wish that they had. But if you have more questions, more concerns, anything specific, just reach out to me in the comments and I will answer, I promise. Pinky promise. So yeah, that has been this video. If you want more like college type videos, let me know. The next one I was planning was more writing specific, so I'll probably get into stuff like playwriting or writing tips and that kind of stuff. Anyhow, this is the part where I tell you to like and subscribe and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, do it if you would like to. If you would like to see more of my videos and be notified, then, you know, click the notification thingy somewhere down there. And if you like the video, then, and you want me to know that you like the video, then you can click the like button. But I'm pretty sure you know how YouTube works, so you'll figure it out. Anyhow, have a very, very lovely day, and I will see you guys again soon.